Hi, this is Jeff with the INTJ equation, and today I'm joined by Luis. Would you like to introduce yourself, Luis?
Yes, my name is Luis Morsi. I'm a ESFP.
We had some confusion before. He was thinking that he was an INTJ, but you actually had a typing with CS Joseph before, right?
Yes.
Yeah. We'll talk about that a little bit. I just want to kind of go over some things real quick. We have a Discord server that you can join. We started doing a weekly typing session on Wednesdays. So if you want to join us for that, we just kind of get together on the voice chat and type celebrities and kind of like a beta testing thing. And maybe we'll go live with that one day. Also, I got a website, www.intjequation.com, and of course, a YouTube channel where you can find videos and this podcast. All that stuff will be down below. But yeah, like we said here, so you were confused that you're like a really reserved ESFP, and you were thinking that you're an INTJ, right?
Yeah. And it's just because it's like looking back into like my childhood, the way I grew up, and I'm over here seeing like ESFPs like Lil Wayne and like little what is it, fucking Cardi B, and they're so like crazy all the time. And I'm just like, damn, like I'm not like that all the time, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of couldn't really relate to them.
So yeah, so I mean, you know, they're rappers and stuff too, so they probably push it to the maximum and make it more of a show too, of course. So you grew up in El Salvador, right? And that's where your parents
Yeah.
kind of encouraged you to dance and things like that, but you really didn't want to dance, even though it's a pretty big
Yeah.
ESFP thing.
Yeah. SE, it's supposed to be like, oh, this comes natural to me. I want to learn how to dance and stuff. I'm over here like running away, like I don't want to do it. To this day, I still don't know how to dance that well.
What kind of dancing they do in El Salvador? It's just like
It's like merengue,
it's like what?
like merengue. Like it's like fast paced music. Salsa.
Oh, okay. So it's just like Latin dance music.
Mhm.
Sounds similar.
Yeah.
And you said you grew up in a nicer part of El Salvador, because I know it could be pretty violent down there,
So
right?
okay, yeah. So I didn't grow up there. I was only there till I was 8, and then I grew up in Arkansas. But yeah, I was pretty sheltered, so I didn't really see like the violence part of it. I only heard about it afterwards.
Okay. All right. So you typed yourself with CS Joseph, and he actually typed you ESFP initially too, right?
Yes.
And you said that was a pretty pricey thing. You said it was like $200 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty good. The
Yeah.
guy's pretty good. But one typing that made me kind of question things was when he typed 6'9" as a INTJ. And I was just like, this loud, this loud person just got typed as an INTJ. It made me think like, what if like, an INTJ can just be more ESFP focused and be loud all the time, but really just be an INTJ. You know what I'm saying? It's like something hard to wrap your mind around.
Yeah, I just did a video not too long ago, like Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie. They're actually INTJs, and they're showing their ESFP side. And like the whole, I don't know if you remember that show from like the late 2000s called The Simple Life. It's like
Nah.
it was like one of the first reality shows. They just went around acting like ditzy blondes, but they're actually INTJs and like really intelligent and stuff. And I was showing like clips of interviews where they're talking about like their businesses and stuff. It was actually really surprising. It was kind of cool. Yeah, but he typed Post Malone is supposed to be an INTJ too, I think. I don't know much
Yeah.
about rap.
No, you're right. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. Yeah. And 50 Cent as well.
50 Cent. Yeah, I read like his book with Robert Greene, so that kind of makes sense with him.
The 40th Power or some shit, right?
The 50th Law.
No, 50th Law. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting book. So what made you think you were an INTJ?
I guess it's just my mood swings that I get, because I be really reserved all the time. Like, especially like I kind of really noticed it when my ex girlfriend, and I was teaching her the MBTI, temperament, all that stuff. And I made her watch my video. And then she's like, you're not really that like extroverted as you say you are. Like, you're not really outgoing as the ESFP. Aren't you supposed to be the entertainer, the performer? Like you're not really like out there like being social and stuff. You're pretty like quiet around other people. So that got into my head a little bit. I was like, maybe I just suck a bit. Maybe I am an ESFP. Well, I know I am. Maybe I just suck at it,
Well, it sounds like one big trouble they have is just kind of like foreseeing their own future. They're really scared, like nervous about it. It kind of worries them, so they just kind of act in a moment. But you said you're currently in Virginia taking some college courses to try to promote in the military, right? So it definitely sounds like you got a plan going on. And you said like just earlier you said they're out partying and stuff, and you're just hitting the books, right? Staying clean and focused.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
What made you think? Do you think it might have been your upbringing? You said it was you were kind of sheltered when you were growing up. Do you think could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Oh, yes. I mean, it could be that maybe a bunch of my family are like intellectuals, or they're forced to be intellectuals, or the rationals or whatever, because they're all forced to study hard. In El Salvador, if you don't get a degree, you're not gonna get any money. They teach you that like you're gonna be poor. Either you're poor or you're rich. So you better like go out and get a PhD or a master's degree, or you're not gonna get nowhere in your life. So I got a bunch of doctors and all sorts of people in my family. That's like their philosophy. Go get your degree or you're nothing, basically.
Okay. Are you going to school for anything else right now, or are you just waiting to kind of get out of the military first?
Nah, nothing else right now.
Nothing.
Yeah, just I only had the associates, and I haven't worked on it for like 9 years now.
Oh yeah, what'd you say it was in psychology, right? It's been a few weeks since I talked to you.
So it was supposed to be psychology until they told me that I'm gonna have to get a PhD to actually be a psychologist. Like I didn't even look into it. They're like, oh, but if you get a bachelor's, you can be a counselor. I'm like, I don't want to do that. So I just like changed it into general studies instead of psychology.
Okay. Very cool then. So how's the army? How's it being an ESFP in the army?
I think that's when I was able to actually like be an ESFP, because I was like, my mom's very controlling. Like this woman would like change the locks if I come back to the house like after she said like if it's past like 11 or 12. Like she changed the locks on me one time and I couldn't get in.
Really?
So finally when I came to Alaska, I was able to like wild out. I used to like, it was like every weekend partying, different chick, this chick, that one, this one, that one, this one, just everything was just coming at me so fast. I'm just like having like blast. That's when I was like able to actually have fun, to like live my life.
So how did it feel growing up with like your freedom being so restricted? Would that cause problems in your family? Did you get along with them pretty well, or you just kind of just take it?
Nah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
I was always getting in trouble, and even though they said I couldn't do something, I'll always go around and do it anyway. It's like it didn't matter. Like you can say this, like you say, oh yeah, you can't do this. I'm gonna do it, and I'll lie about it. I'll sneak out. I just do it behind your back, and it was kind of fucked up, like thinking about it. But like that was me.
Okay. What if you can think? Do you know what type your parents might be? Have you ever typed them, or your siblings, or anything like that? If you have any.
Yeah. So my sister actually, she got into it kind of with me, or she's kind of like she was willing to try it. She actually got typed by C.S. Joseph too, and I always kind of wonder why my sister like gets along with everybody so well. It turns out she's an ENFJ. Fucking she has extroverted feeling on the top. Like, she's fucking affiliated. Like, come on, it's like everybody's gonna love those people. It's kind of like the ESFJ. Everybody loves them too. They're willing to do anything for you. Me and my sister, we typed my mom, even though she thinks she's an INTJ, because like all the tests that she took, like that I made her take, she like always gets INTJ. But like I was like, nah, there's no fucking way she's the INTJ, you know. And then me and my sister, we like got on a little test thing that C.S. Joseph has on his page, and we just did it. We just did it for her, and we got ISFP. We got ISFP, and I was telling my sister about it. I was like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. And I started telling her, you know, they don't really go by logic. They go by how like they feel about things. And she's like, oh my God, that's so mom. She makes no logical sense when I'm arguing with her. I just poke holes in everything she says. Like she doesn't make any sense. And she hates that. She's gonna get so mad at me because she'd be like, oh, you think you're so smart now that you're going to this other school. Because my sister, she's like about to get her PhD. But when they argue, be like, oh, you think you're smart because you're getting your PhD and all this. Here's the reason why you're beating me in this argument. It's like, no, mom, just because you don't make no logical sense when you're arguing, you know?
Could you give us an example where she doesn't make sense and where she's going off more of her feelings and I guess rational?
God, okay, I gotta think about one. Let me think. You know, I really wish I would have like written that down, you know, if I knew you were gonna ask that question.
No, sorry.
But she would, yeah. Like she I don't know, she's always complaining about the things that she doesn't make any sense with, you know. She's always defending my stepdad, you know, because basically what she was telling me is that she shows all the reasons to why she's wrong about something. And she knows that she's wrong. She'll continue to argue and just be like, no, because I feel this is right. And you can't tell me anything about it. You can't change my mind. It's just like, I feel so, and then you can't, after she says, I feel, there's like no way you're changing her mind. Like you can spit all the, any facts at her, she's not gonna change her mind.
It's interesting. And she
Yeah.
thinks she's an INTJ as well, huh?
Yeah, and to be honest, I was more like on ENTJ, but when I told C.S. Joseph that, he's all like, "No, man, you know fucking no ENTJ. Like ENTJs, they know like their fucking pathway throughoutly, you know, by like years, you know, they already have everything planned. And when he met me, you know, I actually was going through a DWI case, you know, where it got dismissed, but he's just like, oh, this guy's crazy. I bet you he was just like, this guy's crazy. Like he doesn't have anything figured out. Like, you know, probably ENTJ would never have gotten himself into the situation to begin with, you know?
I don't know. I knew an ENTJ girl and she had like some drug and alcohol problems and she died in a car crash. I'm sure that was probably related. So, I mean, they're definitely not immune to it. They can definitely, you know, abuse drugs like anybody else.
Nah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. I gotta stop with the stereotypes for real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not all of them are business suits and making billions of dollars, you know?
Yeah. I mean, one of the questions that I remember he asked me was, what did you do? And I kind of like skipped around the question. And he's like, oh, you're being informative. Like, no, wait, say, yeah, that was your TE child because you care about what I think about you. And that's the reason you couldn't just spit it out and say that it was a DWI. And I was just like, yeah, I mean, that made sense to me, you know, because but at the same time, it's kind of like something embarrassing. Like I'm over it now. I don't care. But at the time, you know, I was like facing the heat. You know, I was dealing with the consequences. And that's something I would just want to talk about, you know?
So like growing up and your mom, she did remind you of the consequences quite often. And was that beneficial for you? Would you say like, you know, if you come back late, you're going to get locked out? And did you learn your lesson after that or did you continue doing it?
Nah, I continue doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't matter. I remember one time I was like 8, 7. And I had this little game thing. It wasn't even a game. It wasn't like a Game Boy Color or nothing like that. It was just like a little game. It was I forget what it was. And like she took it away from me, and because I did something wrong. So I went and got another one that was something similar to it. I just came out the room playing it again. Then she took it away, and now I just went and found another one. It's just like I'll always just find a way to piss her off, you know?
Yeah, I'm thinking my son has ESFP and he's a handful.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you this, like, just give him the fucking, the confidence, let him make the mistake. If I can tell you how many mistakes I made that I had to like learn to do by myself, like learn through it by myself, is a lot.
So what is like your decision making process? So like, I don't know, you go and you do something. What makes you choose that decision?
Is it worth it?
Is it worth it?
Yeah.
Like how far into the future do you think, would you say, typically? Or like when you're younger, it sounds like you kind of matured more now, but
Oh, in the future? No, I wouldn't even think about it. I'd be like, well, I know that it's like, like, I know that what's gonna happen afterwards is the possibility of me getting caught, but like at the moment, I didn't care. And I know what's coming. I just don't care if I do get caught, because at the moment I'm gonna enjoy myself, basically.
And you said your stepdad, do you know what type he might be? You ever thought about it?
Yeah, I think that he's either like it's so hard with him because I can't tell whether he's like affiliative or pragmatic. It's really hard. But I know that he's direct initiating control for sure. So like it's hard. Like somebody be like ESTJ or ESTP. Like it's hard. But I kind of lean against like ESTJ though.
ESTJ. Is he
Yeah.
really all about like the rules, or is he about kind of like living in the moment like you are? More past focused?
Yeah. So see, but everybody goes by the rules, even in ESFP or in INTJ. Like it's hard, We still follow the rules, and we all kind of, it's that's too black and white, To
Yeah.
me, it's a little, yeah,
I know ESTJs are all about enforcing the rules and make sure everybody's in compliance. They have like their any child is kind of like, keeping everybody else on task, really. They really struggle to keep themselves on task, and they don't know what they want because they have the NI trickster, but they kind of ESTPs almost have like an opposite problem. They have the same thing as you. They have the NI inferior where they're like insecure about their future, and they choose to kind of ignore their future, and they like are real critical about what everybody else wants with their NE demon. Do you guys ever like butt heads, or do you guys like get along?
oh yeah, we butt heads pretty bad.
Yeah.
But see, like you just mentioned the NI, that like the NI trickster and the NI inferior. To me, they can kind of look the same because like the ESTP doesn't know what he wants, and the ESTJ doesn't know what he wants, or he
Yeah.
thinks he knows what he wants. So like those always kind of look the same to me. So it's kind of hard to tell.
Okay. Fair enough. What about growing up here in the US? What kind of friends did you hang out with thinking back? Do you know what types they were with it? Because usually SPs stay with SPs for the most part.
They were pretty much like, so like the ones I had when I was younger, they were pretty stay to themselves, like I was, you know, and we didn't really get in trouble. It was till like after I started getting older when I started getting like friends that like um live for the excitement, and that's when I started kind of branching off from the ones that were like boring, and I was like, oh, this is more exciting. I want to go and I want to go do this. I want to try out this.
Mhm.
You know, breaking the rules. I want to do this. I used to like go on ISS a lot, and but it was like actually it wasn't even from breaking the rules. I mean, I was breaking the rules, but it was like somebody trying to fight me, or like it was kind of hard being like a foreigner in Arkansas,
Yeah.
because people try to be racist with you, and and my reaction was always to react like, I'm not gonna let you like talk to me like that, and if I don't react to it, I'm gonna be kicking myself in the ass all day, probably for like a couple of days. Like, why didn't you fucking do something about that? Like, I just like really like beat myself up. Like, why did you let that person talk to you like that? So I learned to fix the situation as soon as it happens, so that way I don't have to like be torturing myself afterwards.
So like an ESFP, like they feel like they're wrong in the way they have to kind of react in a moment, even if it's just not fighting, it's just like defending yourself verbally. You feel you have to do that so you don't feel wronged in the future and beat yourself up over it.
Yes, and I even like I had a guy call me a beaner one time, and I literally just like ran up to him, just tackled him, and anything that ever happened. Somebody like shoved me, like they were kind of like trying to be aggressive when they fucking like bumped into me. I didn't care who they were, how big they were. I'm in there, you know. And it took me getting in trouble and doing ISS and get suspended and all that stuff to realize I can't do that no more. Especially in the army, like I can't, do those things. I'm gonna lose the things that I work for. So it's kind of hard sometimes. You do want to react. Like right now, I would like to react to whatever something crazy like that happens, but I know that I can't.
Yeah.
Now if I'm drunk, all that sense and everything is out, and I'm definitely gonna like react. But
if you're drinking, would you say you act more like an ESFP, more outgoing and more social?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Like shadow driven or act more like an INTJ or anything like cognitive transitioning. You think you're more in your ego that way?
Yeah, but I think I can go into the shadow pretty easily as well, where I get kind of caught up in SI nemesis. I start remembering like bad stuff, and I'll be like, oh shit. So I can get easily, it's like both of those. So I'll start out with the ESFP, and if I keep on drinking, and something's said that I mean like think of the past, I'll get caught up in the past, and I'm gonna be like talking to you about some shit that happened to me 5 years ago. Like, dude, what are you talking about that for? Yeah.
So do you ever like with your SI nemesis, do you ever like reminisce about things like in the past or like get nostalgic, or do you just like, wow, I was wrong this way? Like you think of like some kid in school that called you a beaner or whatever. Is that kind of like ever that trigger when you're drinking, or is it just like good memories?
It's more the things like I remember one time I was watching some movie. And had like this famous person, and they're like, they had all this money and shit like that. And I was drinking too. And they're, we're all together watching a movie. And then they had all this money, they were partying, they were like doing all this crazy shit. And I'm over here like looking in my life, like, golly, like I haven't done all the stuff that they fucking done before. It's like the lack of experience is the more part that hurts the most. Like it's just like I haven't got to live my life like those motherfuckers have. And I really want to like do those things. But I haven't yet. And I'm like 28 now.
So it's like you didn't really brace down and prepare for your future. So you're kind of beating yourself up because you didn't do that and kind of lived in the moment. Is that kind of like how it
Yes.
works?
Yeah, like I literally had a roommate that I hated in Alaska, my first second roommate. And I remember when I used to like party all the time, and that's all I wanted to do. There's like something he told me that I never forgot. He's like, you know what? One day you're gonna regret this. And I was just like, and then I was like, and I thought to myself, like, that's true, because I did waste like 3 years in Alaska and I didn't do anything productive. It wasn't until I got to Texas when I started to, start working on myself, and start getting, that's when I got promoted, and I actually started giving a fuck. But in Alaska, I didn't do nothing productive from 20 to 23, just nothing.
I think that's common for a lot of types. They just like just be young for a while. I don't think there's really anything wrong with that, unless something seriously bad happens,
Yeah.
of course.
I mean, it did. Like I halfway through it, I got demoted. It was it's some pretty bad stuff,
What state did you get your DWI in?
Texas.
Texas. Okay. So how many different places have you been stationed?
This is my third one.
Third. Alaska, Virginia, and Texas then?
No. Alaska, Texas, and North Carolina. I'm in Virginia just for school.
Oh, okay. Let's go back to like your SC hero. How does that work for you? It's just, I mean, I guess like just reacting in the moment, like somebody calls you a racial slur or someone throws a party or something you want to go to.
Yeah, I guess it's just like noticing little things, Before I had my PRK surgery, I couldn't see that well, right? And then when I didn't have my glasses, I didn't have to see your face. I could just like, I mean, I don't know if this is like a thing for everybody, but I just be able to tell. I couldn't see shit. I could just tell who you were by the way you walked, because
Mhm.
I just like pick up on everything. Like, um, my sister, you know, her being an ENFJ, she's gullible as hell. You know, having the SE as a child function, right?
Mhm.
You know, she don't really notice things very much. And we'll go to a store, and it'd be like a guy like looking at her, and I'll be like, and he'd be like putting like hints out there that like you know he likes her, and she would not notice it, and we'll come out of there, guys, did you see that? Like he was doing this and that. And it's like, what? No, I didn't notice that. It's like,
Really?
yes. And she always tells me like, you got like, Luis, you notice like the weirdest things. Like you like, I don't even notice any of those things. How do you notice it? Like, it's like you're not there. It's almost like you're not there. Like when you go inside the store, like, are you seriously not there? Are you not present in the moment? Like, you know, I kind of like make fun of her. And shit, awful memory too. That side trickster is like all the way her.
Yeah, I had some ENFJs on a podcast recently. It was interesting talking to them about how their functions work, especially their NI. So how do you think your SE heroes benefited you in the army? I think that would be a pretty good function to have, being in it, like something where you have to respond a lot.
Yes, I mean, yeah. Would you say that SE is competitive?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something that I can always notice. You know, like I always want to do everything the best. You know, like that's how I even notice like soldiers that are like somehow somewhat like me. Like I had one of the soldiers take a test. He got ESFP, but I'm still kind of like debating whether he's an ESCP or ESFP. Still kind of hard for me to tell sometimes. But I was just noticing because like he's like a 20-year-old, and he reminded me so much of me when I was like his age. He's like challenging everybody. He's challenging like the platoon sergeant. How many pull-ups can you do? How many leg tucks can you do? All this and that. He'll always lose, but he'll just be challenged. He's just like so competitive. He's trying to beat everybody. And then he challenged me. Like, oh, dude, you're like the wrong person because I'm old. Well, you're not gonna beat me. I've been doing this shit for 8 years, you know. But I just noticed that because that's the way I used to be. I would challenge everybody. I wanted to be better than everybody at anything. Like when it comes to exercises, I wanted to be the first one to win in a race. I'm the first one to like win a push-up competitions. Like that was all me. I didn't want to lose. If I lost, I felt bad. And then I kick myself and torture myself afterwards.
Okay. So what about developing your FI parent? I know FI parent is actually kind of a confusing thing. It's kind of like you're responsible with the way that you feel. How does that work for you, and how has it developed since you're kind of getting in your late 20s and everything?
I would say like that's like so true when it says like being responsible with how you feel. Cause you don't want to like you like get so caught up in like your own feelings that you forget about the feelings of other people. And that's something that they always called me like growing up. And they'd be like, oh, you're being selfish, all you care about is you. And I really, really like had to think about it. And I was just like, in my head, I wasn't being selfish because I thought that everybody else is being responsible with their own feelings as well. I didn't realize that they were trying to be responsible for mine and theirs.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's like I wasn't there for them emotionally. And I still get that a lot. Like a lot of exes will tell me that I'm selfish or, you know, I'm like, don't care about them and stuff like that. So it's hard to tell. Like it's you know, I do believe in that, you know, being responsible for your feelings, you know, for sure. You're not gonna catch me crying, like or making, you know, making myself like look weak and like I don't want to do that. Like because I like I said, if I do that, if I also cry in front of you right now, I'm gonna beat myself up for like the next couple of days. Like, why the fuck did you cry in front of this motherfucker for? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Have you developed any, like, because FI is like morals and own personal values? Have you developed any like personal values? I know, like it says, be responsible how you feel, but like anything like that in particular, it kind of differs from everybody else.
Mm, it's hard. It's hard to tell on that. Like, I guess like lot of values, like, like if you borrow money from somebody, you make sure you always pay them back, right? Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I have that. Like, yeah, like if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. But I do have a tendency sometimes to pull back from it, and I'm not always like, I'm not perfect. How about that?
Yeah.
But I when it comes to like owing somebody money though, I've always paid them back though. So like if I borrow money from my grandma, I'll like pay her back, or girlfriend or friend, I'll always pay them back. I might forget, but I'll pay you back like a month later, but I will pay you back, you
Yeah.
know?
That's something about having a high SE and a low SI. Do you have like a real short, long-term memory? You have trouble remembering things like that, like paying somebody back? Like you have good intentions, but you just forget?
Yes. When it comes to I think that would that have to do with like getting lost in a place that you've been for a while? When you're driving, you just can't like remember where you're at.
Is
No?
SI that way?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Because I've been
What?
told that I'm like directionally challenged when it comes to like remembering like where I've been to before. And I like it takes me a while to like remember how to get to places, especially when it's like a new place.
Yeah, maybe that is like maybe it's having a higher SI is more beneficial there because you have a better long-term memory. So like if I've been there somewhere like 10 years ago and you remember, because I have trouble like
Yeah.
that too. I have to go somewhere like 2 or 3 times before I can really get a good map in my head and know where I'm going. So I think that's it.
Yeah.
So I think like someone with a high SI, like, okay, I was here like 2 weeks ago and I remember it, or 10 years ago and I remember
Yeah.
it better.
I mean, that should be really tough for you having SI demon, right?
I think NI kind of works a little bit differently. It's similar to SI in a lot of ways, but it's more like I'm gonna remember things that's gonna for my future, and SI is kind of like I'm gonna remember things about my past, I guess, if that makes any sense. Like, oh, I need to go somewhere, but I might not remember it, but I'll remember something I heard like in the second grade. And oh, this is like I
Okay.
knew as like a kid, like this is going to be important for some reason. It was just some stupid thing I heard from like a teacher, and 20, 30 years down the line, like, oh, yeah, that's what I remembered, and it makes sense now. It's kind of weird how NI works.
So I guess I'm fucked both ways then, because NI is on the bottom, fourth function, and then like right there, SI.
Yeah, it's like I have
So
an ESFPX, and like now that we get along and kind of I know enough about it, what to tell her, and I'm teaching her a little bit about it. We kind of can cover each other's blind spots in a lot of way because I'm always about like living in the future and afraid of the present. She's kind of the opposite, like living in the future and or living in the present and being afraid of the future.
so you go more with David Kersey's theory, huh? You don't believe in C.S. Joseph's theory with the like your best match would be like an ENTP.
Oh, I think I agree with CS Joseph that ESFPs and INTJ shouldn't be in relationships together, but we got together before I knew any of that, of course. But
No, yeah,
I think we knew we was an initial attraction because like I was always like, wow, she's just so in the moment. She doesn't care about anybody or what anybody thinks of her. She just does what she wants to do. And she just like really knows herself and how she feels about everything. And she's like, oh, he plans everything so much. He's just real quiet and contemplative and stuff like that. And that kind of what attracted her to me. And after a while, like she's like, why don't you just get that stick out of your ass and have fun? I'm like, why don't you just knuckle down and prepare, plan? Just kind of goes off, a whim. And we just like live lives like totally drastic. But now that, we could teach each other like how to kind of compensate for our faults, and it kind of works out.
like how to be better, how to be better.
Yeah. She like get like I'll get out of my shell a little bit and she'll kind of like brace down and like think things through a little bit more. So she actually impressed me, like, because we work together and she's like talking like person. She's like into automotive and stuff. Like she told me this big elaborate plan. Like I'm going around talking to all these people and they're going to hire me. I want them to hire me in the tire and lube section. I want to go back to school and get my certification to be a mechanic. And like, whoa, I was like blown away because she had all like the next 5 years planned out. Like pretty good.
As long as you keep to it, I changed my mind so many goddamn times about
Yeah.
everything.
Like me, I changed my major like 30 different times. So I ended up just settling for an associate's in general studies too. And I was going for psychology and I just kind of put it on the back burner.
All right, well, I guess INTJs make the same mistakes then.
Yeah. I think we're in the same quadra if you go by socionic. So we had the same cognitive function. So we kind of have definitely a lot of similarities in a lot of ways.
If you were going by the 4 sides of the mind theory, which one do you think you're more focused towards?
Definitely a shadow focused, like an ENTP shadow. Definitely trying to work on my ESFP side, doing stuff like this and doing like judo and just being more in the moment and putting myself out there and extroverting myself into the world, you know. So what about your TE child? I know you talked a little bit about CS Joseph saying, with my lack of SI, I forgot exactly what you said. How did your So it sounds like it's pretty good. Like, you know, you're going to getting some college courses to promote and stuff like that. You got an associate's degree. Did you do well in like high school and elementary school and stuff like that?
Only when I tried, like I so I used to be like in pre-AP math and like I'll like do really good, but once I like start feeling lazy, I'll drop everything. I'll be like, nope, I don't care, and I'll fucking like fail everything. But it's not because I was like I couldn't do it. It's just because I just got lazy.
Yeah.
You know, that I used to be gifted and talented in middle school, and then like junior high, they put me in pre-AP, and then finally I started realizing that the more the harder I work, they keep on putting me in these harder classes. I'm just like, nah. So I started fucking started doing worse so I can just go back to regular classes because I didn't want to have extra work to do. For what? I didn't that's the crazy part. I wish I could just go back and like slap myself in the face. That this would have been beneficial for you. Like you should have done this. You know, but in my mind, I was like, well, I'm trying to go home and not have any homework. Or, you know, I can get done with this and I have no homework. And I'm just looking at when I'm gonna get home and when I'm gonna watch like what TV show I'm gonna watch. I wasn't thinking about, 2 years from now or 5 years from now or what college I'm gonna go to. I didn't think about any of that.
Yeah. Do you ever find yourself like real inquisitive, asking questions and things like that? Like you said, you read books and stuff, right? That you showed me that Neil Strauss book you were reading last time. I remember that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I do like asking people what they feel about something, what they think about something. Like, I want to show people like I love talking about this shit with people. Like, if the people can actually like understand it, I really try to like get my ex, baby mama, mom, sister to like understand this shit because that's something that I really like love. Like it makes a lot of sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
But it'd be like other like stuff about like I don't know the red pill or like this book that I'm reading, that I showed you, the crazy shit that they do. I just like talk about it, I guess when it comes to tea challenge, it's like kind of I want to know what you think about it.
Yeah.
Basically that's it.
Okay. Very cool. So like going to school and being like in the advanced courses and stuff, has that seemed like it really helped you develop your INTJ side? Do you felt that's brought you happiness? Because that's CSJ's theory is going against your dual side, becoming like your subconscious that makes you happier. Do you felt that made you happier trying to be like an INTJ and succeeding at that, or just being an ESFP makes you happier?
No, I think an INTJ does make me happier because trying to focus too much on being an ESFP, that's when crazy shit starts to happen to me. Living in the moment, that's I've always gotten in trouble. Get arrested, something crazy happens, get in a fight. It's just like, dude, just stay inside and like learn something. And that's what I've been forcing myself to do. It's really hard. It was really hard. Every now and then I give myself a reward. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna try to get this girl on Tinder to come over, but but try not to do that as much. Not like I used to.
Okay, fair enough. What about your NI inferior? So you already said like I didn't know what I wanted to do in school and stuff like that. I wasn't thinking about like college and which college I was going to. How have you developed that over the years?
This sucks. I told you a fucking scenario that just happened like last Friday. So the instructor for ALC, he's gonna after he gave us this essay to write, he told us this other PowerPoint we have to do. And then he's like, all right, so it's gonna be like 16 subjects. As soon as I put it on the screen, all you guys go start calling out which one you guys want. So he put it on the screen. Everybody's like, I want this one, the blue book, that one, this one, that one. And I was like, okay. And I found one that I like. And I was like, no, I don't think I want that one. And then I was like, I kept on going through all of them. I couldn't pick which one I wanted. And then everybody just kept on choosing. I'm just like, fuck. And I just like, all the good ones are getting taken away. And then I'm like, okay, no, I think I want this one. I think I want this one. And then I sit there and I look at this one and the one on top of it. And I'm just like, couldn't decide. The guy fucking picks the one that I wanted. So I finally realized, dude, if you don't fucking pick something, they're gonna pick all the good ones. You're gonna be fucked. So finally, I picked General Bradley Omar, something like that. And I was just thinking, golly, I gotta just be more like quick. Just jump on it, just pick it,
Yeah.
Stop being so indecisive. I don't know if that's a good example or not, but
Yeah, I think it is, because I used to ask like my ESFP ex, like, what do you want to eat for dinner tonight? She's like, I don't know. I would name something like, I don't want that. I would name something else. I don't want that. And like, I would just keep asking her, like, what do you want? It's like a really stupid question to ask an ESFP, and she just like blow up eventually. It makes sense.
it's like anxiety. Like that's what I was feeling when he did that. He put it on the screen. I just felt like a bunch of anxiety because I was trying to think of like, what if I picked the wrong one? And even when I picked the one that I said, the instructor's like, ooh. I was like, ooh, what? It's gonna be hard. Like, what do you say ooh for?
So you notice that in the moment how he reacted, and like,
Yeah.
reacted. So okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. So we already talked about SI nemesis a little bit. How about FE critic? Like before, you said that people accuse you of being selfish, so you're kind of critical of other people's emotions and how they feel, right? You kind of learn like you got to include them too and think of them.
Yeah. The way that I see FE critic is like this right here. Once I start seeing the way you move, and I kind of like start seeing you as a bad person, I feel like that just helps me it helps me move the wrong way, for you. So let's say like you're like a good person, like I'll be like, oh no, there's no way I can do him like this. But if I see that you're a horrible person, I don't care what way I do you, because I know you deserve it. That's the way I see
it. Okay, so you kind of judge with your own values first, and like you kind of observe them with your SE, and then you come to a decision how you feel about this person. And if they're good, then you'll treat them good. If they're bad, then whatever.
And I know it shouldn't be like that, but I know I do it.
I mean, I think it's fair. It kind of keeps you from being manipulated and taken advantage of too, because they'll like try to manipulate you and like, oh, you're just a piece of shit person, so I don't want nothing to do with you.
Exactly. That's how I protect myself.
Yeah, seems like a fair system. Kind of like similar what I do, I think, but maybe might be a little too judgmental there, and I'm trying to work on that. But it's all work in progress, I guess.
What do you do? Oh, it's morals.
Well, before I would I have no FE, so I can't really pick up on other people's emotions. But with any nemesis, it's like we become really paranoid. So we're always thinking like someone's going to stab us in the back or betray us. So I just kind of treated everybody like they're going to do that. And I just kind of like shut everybody out. But now, I'm learning to like just give the person the benefit of the doubt and kind of watch them a little bit with my SE. And if, they show like they're any negative traits, then I'll know not to screw with them or whatever, not to let them stab me in the back, not give them the opportunity, but kind of learn to give the people the benefit of the doubt.
Nah, that's the thing about FE too. I think having FE like so close to the bottom is like, I pick up on your emotions. That's the thing. Do I want to go over there and help you out? Depends. It goes back to like FI. How do I feel?
Yeah.
Don't want to do that.
That makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. What about your TI trickster? What kind of challenges have you had with that? Do you kind of just believe anything, kind of anything's true or false, or?
No, so I'm not gonna believe everything.
No.
Like I have been fooled, but I'm more like skeptical. I think maybe after the years of being fooled, maybe can't really recall. But I have the same problem as my mom, basically, and I can tell you from experience. I didn't know about her, what her and my sister were arguing about. But I have always noticed when I was arguing with people like like, dude, that doesn't make any sense. Like, like basically like, oh, that doesn't make any logical sense. And I'd be like, to me, it fucking feels like it does. So,
Yeah.
So that was the big problem,
Yeah, like I was talking to my ESFPX and she's like, oh, like when you're gonna have a boy is when you orgasm during the conception, but if you're gonna have a girl, if you don't orgasm. She truly believed that was true. I'm like, are you sure about that?
Yeah. I can release some like crazy ass theories. Like, okay, so something like, don't make fun of me though, but it's something along the lines of this. So I was like looking up some theories of how to like make a boy, right? And I was looking online and it's saying that males have more testosterone in the morning when they first wake up, to versus when they go to bed. Also, when you drink alcohol, your testosterone is being suppressed. So my theory was, what if I like don't drink for like a long time, like 3 months or something like that? My testosterone is at a good level, and I only have sex in the morning. Would it be a higher chance of me having a boy? I know it ain't gonna happen, but it's something along the lines of that. I kind of do believe that. Like, if I feel like if I do that, I'm gonna get a boy. But sounds crazy, but
Never know, increasing your odds. I mean, at least you're like looking at facts and figures and making a rational decision. She just like, this is what I feel is true.
Oh yeah.
You said you had a kid, right? Was it a boy or a girl?
It was a girl, but it was at night and I was intoxicated, so it makes sense.
Oh, okay. All right, we're running close to out of time here. I want to ask a little bit about your any demons, kind of like you don't really care about what other people want. How does that work for you?
It's I feel like any demon for me is like a little bit different. It's like picking up on other people's patterns, but it's always like in a demonic way, meaning like kind of like your little NE critic. And I just kind of like pick up on their patterns, something changes from the routine, and I just automatically think they're doing something wrong. Like something's bad's gonna happen to this. I think that's the way NE like demon for me works. I think that's where the paranoia comes from too, as well. Because it's just not being complacent, you know. So I'm over here like wondering what the hell are you doing? Like why did you do this differently? You know, I don't think I guess I never thought about it that way. Not care what they want.
Okay, that's what you originally, when you contacted me, you said you're thinking, hey, you're an INTJ because you're quite paranoid. How are you paranoid of people?
I always feel like people are like eventually gonna turn against me. And it's been proven true at some points, or like people are doing things behind my back that I didn't know about, you know. Or I just assumed, my ex-girlfriend says I always assume with everything, you know. I always like call her out, like, I think you're doing this, I think you're doing that. Because it was just things that she would do that were not complacent. Like it's like she changed her patterns. And then I just be like, oh dude, she must be doing something. Like she never does this. And I just automatically assume something's fucking horrible. Yeah.
That could be your super ego too. I mean, it'd be flipped over. Your super ego would be a ENTP.
Yeah, that's the gateway, I would say, as well,
Yeah,
I feel like it'd be like the same thing.
Triggered your any demon, and yeah, so it'd pretty much be the same thing. You're right. Okay, that's a really interesting way of looking at that. I never really considered it that lens. So last few questions I ask everybody: do you have a favorite type, and what's your least favorite type if you have one?
I would say INTJs are pretty cool, man. Like, y'all like the masterminds, Like, to be honest, I like all the rationals, the intellectuals. Yeah, they're all pretty cool to me. They're thinkers. They're looking towards the future. When it comes to like the least favorite ones, like I don't really sometimes, to be honest, I don't get along with SE DOMs too much sometimes because we're both like very competitive, but at the same time we help each other. But I don't like, to be honest, I don't like the con artist ones as much. Like ENTPs and ENFPs trying to like kind of con you. Have you heard that they're like the con artists, right? The ENFP and the ENTP.
Yeah, they definitely can for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So I definitely, that's like, to me, it's like a nightmare. Like, you wanna, like, you're gonna, you recognize my patterns and you know where I'm gonna go, and you're gonna fucking use that against me. So I would say ENTP and like ENFP would not be my favorite. Even though Chase is an ENTP and he's awesome and all that, but like, his ability to fucking, pick up on my patterns and shit and be able to con me, like, I wouldn't like that.
Yeah, I mean, not all ENPs are like that, of course, just like the unhealthy ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get what you mean. So that's a fair point. What is something that you would like INTJs or other types to understand about you?
We're not all partiers, man. we yeah, we're not all partiers.
Okay. What would you like to understand about INTJ or another type?
Mm, how's it like to have FE trickster? You know, and how's it like to be just an intuitive?
FE Trickster is challenging. I've pissed off many people over the years and haven't done it intentionally. I mean, it's hard because I don't really usually smile a lot or show a lot of emotion. So people call me a psychopath or they think I'm autistic or something like that. It's really hard, kind of like if I don't know how somebody's feeling, it really triggers my SC inferior about like giving somebody a bad experience or a bad time. So I think I might be making them feel bad. So I get like super nervous about it. And then it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy because I ended up kind of micromanaging their experience, if that makes any sense. Like I try to make it like too good and too perfect, but I just don't really go with the flow,
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like with your SE hero, you're just kind of just going with the flow during a conversation and just let it have natural. For me, it's like I'm trying to control it and plan it as it's happening, but it usually doesn't work very well. And being an intuitive with NI hero is just, you're just always in your head, always thinking, always planning. So I mean, it's definitely great, but if you do it too much, it's just unhealthy. You become introverted to a fault, and you don't really live and have fun and experience things like in the moment. And then kind of like you thinking like, wow, like when I was younger, I wish I had more fun, kind of just wish I just got out of my head and just did things. That makes any sense?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all the questions I have. Do you have any other questions? Anything you want to say to the people?
Mm, no, that's about it. I mean, I was gonna ask you, do you mind typing somebody, just one person, at some point?
Oh, yeah, just send them my information or whatever. I'll be glad to talk to them.
All right.
All right. Well, if you don't have anything else, I thank you all for watching. I just want to remind everybody of the Discord server I have. You can add me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and all that good stuff. Please like, share, and subscribe if you like this content. Feel free to leave a comment below. Thank you for going beyond the clickbait, and have a great day.